have now reached the intersection where ideas, beliefs, and perspectives collide. So be free to be you. It's the Crossroads Podcast with your hosts, author, speaker, and transformational strategist, Barzini, and entrepreneur, empowerment coach, and tech diva, Dre Renee. If you're ready to talk love, business, politics, and everything in between, you're in for a ride. Welcome to the Crossroads Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grant, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire, tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the
Crossroads,
where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you.
So, y'all, Dre is fucking up today. I'm going to just let y'all know.
Dang. Shots fired.
Listen, you're going to get all the shade.
I always have his back. Always.
Look,
always.
Hey, no. Not last week when you calling me, and I spared you this morning. See, okay, so but let me before the last episode that we recorded, and I took a nap before the show, and she called me, and instead of saying, "Hey, Barz, it's time for the show," wake up. With birds chirping and some shit. She called all kind of gangster, talk about wake your ass up. Like she, and we talked about that like she was MC. We talked about it on the last show. Now, today, she was taking a nap. No, it wasn't a nap.
It was morning. Thank you.
It was morning. Okay, it was first thing in the morning
time. And I'm behind him.
Okay, yeah, you behind me in time. We're there's a 2-hour time difference. However, she's sending me messages. So when you sending me messages, I'm assuming that you up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and as a matter of fact, the message.
When we assume. Go ahead.
Okay, that's what we're doing.
you try to.
Do you see that sweater? Do you see that sweater? So first of all, y'all, for those who are listening and not watching this on YouTube, we're both wearing, coincidentally, our Greek wear. She's wearing her Sigma Gamma Rho sweater, or her Sigma sweater rather. And since she's wearing her Sigma sweater, I think it only appropriate that we ask the essential question. What are excuses?
Oh, okay. We at it today. All right, let's do it.
Check and mate. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you win the argument. Thank you.
This is good.
Be here all week.
Yeah. No. He didn't even finish his raggedy story, but he drops stuff in our chat all the time and says, "Oh, I was just putting it here so that I'm able to grab it." And that's literally what I was doing. I woke up, I saw a story, which we're going to get into today. I dropped it in our chat. I turned back over to go to sleep, and he thought that was, his open door to have a conversation. And so since I didn't respond, he rang the phone. Now I answered. It wasn't like I was like, "Oh, well, I'm asleep." I picked up the phone. And you missed your opportunity.
Right, but how do I know you? But see, I wasn't even thinking about being as cruel and capricious as you were when you woke me
SAT words. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I thought it was funny. I thought it would be funny.
It was.
And so that's why I went with it. But now
it was.
When I call, I will say,
but it was still gangster.
Greetings, Barzini. Mm-hmm. It is time for us to record.
Oh, flashback. I like greetings.
Yeah. Greetings. Big brother Barzini.
From the body cap of Secretary Kirk.
Yeah, all of that. It's time to record. I didn't like him.
I've never been greeted before.
Oh, well.
What? I turned out to be a good guy.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
mostly.
But before we move on, so we are recording the day before the 98th Founders Day of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. So to all the sorors everywhere, happy Founders Day. By the time you hear this, it won't be Founders Day anymore, but just know I was thinking of you.
And to the lovely ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, happy Founders Day from the men of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Shout out to the noobs. Hey, Indy. Hey.
You see, I had to bring the energy down for that a little bit. I had to give her.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, Indy. We didn't hate Indy in our day. I don't know where that came from, but now it's a thing, you know. Hey, Indy.
Oh, I mean, you know. There's a saying that goes, I think it's a lot of the noobs didn't want to be they got, it's a commitment thing. It's like, we're not your brothers, but we everyone's lovers,
Oh, well,
So I guess I love y'all.
I mean,
it makes
I
me
love
no
you
never
too.
mind either way.
I personally, in my day, I didn't want to be tied to y'all either. I didn't be tied to anybody. I was like, we're free. We're free agents.
Well, now you ain't no more.
It's
you
indie
want to
love.
talk that shit now?
It's indie.
Talking about.
I said in my day. And he knows. We both are like, you stand over here, I stand right here. You throw your sign, I throw my sign. We don't.
Don't trip, because I'm gonna throw the hell out of y'all. Y'all wedding gift is about to be a joint plate.
It'll just hang in the house. That ain't going on nobody's car.
Watch, I'm gonna sneak out there in the night and change our plates.
Oh, okay. Well, come on through.
And you ain't even gonna notice because it's gonna be the front plate. Who looks at their front plate?
Okay. Well, you can explain that to him.
Oh, I'm gonna do it to his first. While he driving, he probably gonna be driving a Buick still.
Okay. Oh, look at you. This is you just having a field day today with your clans, huh?
Hey, listen, that was. I'm not gonna get into detail because we protect his anonymity right now. But the Buick was funny.
Okay, well.
So what are we talking about? To let the people know what we're talking about today.
Well, today, ladies and gents, today's topic and title of the episode is the thin gray line. The thin gray line.
The thin gray. Okay, there was a joke in there, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I was
like, who we're talking about? About that? No, talking about thin.
Oh shoot!
Not yet. Yeah. I'm gonna try. See, I tried.
Barzini is on today. Okay, he's talking about everybody. We all shots fired everywhere.
Listen,
nobody's safe.
Ain't nothing thin about this gray line. I'm sorry, that's cruel, but it's true. All right, so go ahead and give it to him. Go ahead and go and set up the show.
Yeah, so the thin gray line, and today we are going to talk about cheating and the inspiration for the topic and the title. Pastor John Gray of Relentless Church in South Carolina and his wife Aventer. And Pastor Gray has been in the news.
That's how you say Aventer? I didn't know if it was Aventer.
Right, yeah. Aventer. They've been in the news. It feels like nonstop, at least for the past year, for Pastor Gray's infidelities. And I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it specifically because he just put up another post praising his wife publicly and talking about how great she is and how he needs to be better and all those things. But, consistently, there are stories that come out about his infidelity. And he made sure to include that his affairs have been only emotional, never physical. So I thought, hey, first of all, does it matter? But also overall, just talking about cheating and then even the implications of someone in leadership and definitely spiritual leadership. Like, how do we feel about that? Should we feel a way about that? So those are all the areas that we'll be crossing the road on today.
I don't know. So, so here's where I get confused.
Uh-oh.
Not even, I got a lot, but let's start here.
Okay.
When he says it's never been physical.
Mm-hmm.
What is emotional cheating? And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I'm not saying that it does. I'm saying, what are we constituting, or what do we believe he's constituting as emotional cheating? One, do we know the details of that? So for y'all, look, one, I don't really do
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't do like the gossip news stuff and reality shows, so I always rely on Dre for my smut news.
He called me the smut source or something something that was not. I was like, I don't know if I want that title. You know, my connection
I try to keep my mind in so pure. It's almost like when you on a diet and you don't want to eat fried food, but every now and then you go get some chicken. You're my chicken.
Okay. Well, to answer your question, I know. I was just like, I don't know what to. Well, many of these things, because I operate my businesses online and through social media, a lot of things, you know, just kind of get pushed to me. I don't spend my time on the shade room and scrolling and following these people's lives. Sometimes I have to even ask, like when Meg Thee Stallion got shot, like I didn't know. I knew who Meg Thee Stallion was, but I didn't know who the guy was. I was like, well, who is that? And what, you know, I had to ask questions. So I don't want anybody to think I'm super tied to all the news, but between me and him, I guess I would know more than he does. So now that I've set that up, because it made me sound so he said that he would spend time talking to other women about, you know, details of his relationship, or, you know, when things weren't necessarily to his liking, instead of him seeking wise counsel. And in particular, you know, maybe somebody higher up in the pastoral lane or whatnot, he would do that with a woman or with women, it seems. And that's what he defined as emotional cheating. Also, and I don't know if it was the first time or the second time, I did read a story where he was, you know, actually like bad mouthing his wife. It's one thing to just like, you know, we don't get along, or, you know, sometimes guys will play things, downplay things, right? Like, oh, we're now not necessarily with your wife, but let's just say you're dating, right? Like, oh, we're not really, or we broke up, or that type of thing. No, this dude was literally talking about the fact that either she doesn't cook or can't cook, or something about, you know, with their kids, and, you know, she doesn't make meals with her. So it was just like embarrassment on top of embarrassment. So you are emotionally cheating, which the jury's out on whether we believe that. But then you're talking about your partner, somebody that now you're going to write 1 million characters on Instagram about, but you didn't have anything nice to say about
Is
her.
that what we're talking about? That's
what we're talking about in this story. That doesn't have to be what we're talking about overall.
No, like that's the cheat. Okay.
That is his version of the cheat. Okay. And one of the cheats. Okay.
I'm not gonna go to dude, because he's actually calling that cheating. So if he want to say that's cheating for his marriage,
and I'm about to start scrolling while you talking, because I'm sure I can find some details. Okay.
Right. And that's fine. I mean, if those are the details, I'm sitting here like, wait, what? And y'all, I'm hearing this for the first time. Actually, just explained it. So if y'all didn't know the story, we're all finding out what he means at the same time. But who does, like, so is there like, does that mean, okay, we got to set the rules on who we can talk to and who not to? Or okay, like we've been friends for how long now? 20 years?
Almost 20 years, yeah.
And I've talked to you about my relationships before. Was that cheating?
If your girlfriend thought it was.
She thought everything was cheating.
I think your point is valid, right? He called it cheating. So I feel like, you know, if you are sharing more information with, with another woman, and there's an intimate connection, right? Like there's one thing to just, I'm blowing off steam, just like you would talk to anybody else. That's one thing, but we've talked about it in past episodes. There are people that lie in wait for things to go wrong in your relationship, and you just really have to be wise. I don't believe that it was only an emotional, we're just having conversations. But even if it was, clearly that was not okay for either one of them. And that is the problem.
Right. I think I'm not buying
they were
that.
on Red Table Talk
for me to buy.
I missed that. I missed it. Keep going.
Oh, what? John and his wife?
Apparently back in April. So that's what happened. So the last time they were in the news was April, and the cheating saga goes back as far as 2019. So we're now the latter part of 2020. That's not a lot of space for us to kind of keep getting
right. So yeah, I remember some situation when
with stories.
Right. So I remember some story. I think that year, is that when he bought her the car or whatever. What was it, like the Porsche or something, or the Ferrari, whatever it was, some fancy $200,000 car.
Okay, I don't remember that, but I was not really deep into the story. Okay.
So I think the first time I heard about a cheating story, I think he came out and then like he bought her a car, or did he buy the car before the story came out? Whatever, buying her a car kind of correlated with the cheating. And I didn't know about the Red Table Talk, so we'll have to go back and kind of watch that or whatever. Or we might even watch it.
But it just looks like they were talking about the fact that, so the first time, as I'm kind of just doing some quick scrolls, was on The Real. So I'm like, you guys are really playing your stuff out on TV, which is crazy. So back in 2019, there was an appearance on The Real. And then here, early to mid 2020, they're on Red Table Talk. And here's another thing about the Grays that you might not know because you don't watch reality TV. They, especially John Gray, does a lot of counseling for single to approaching married couples.
Right. I did see that.
In the interview. Yeah, that's another thing that kind of gets me like, I'm on this road, and particularly because I literally am on this road to marriage, and you're looking at someone for the example. Now, we know people are not perfect, but also just like for you to be in a place where you are in a struggle, clearly, like there's something that's going on with you personally that you need to tend to, but you're still actively trying to coach somebody else.
Yeah. And so
you feel like it's okay.
I'm trying to the words are jumbled, and I'm trying to articulate my true feeling, right? Because there's a duality to it for me, right? Like, for instance, I don't feel like everybody that teaches something when it comes to development or something like that is always out of the woods. I think sometimes it's very effective, and it humanizes someone to teach from a place of not having been there, but sometimes goes through. Now, when it comes to infidelity, I don't know if that's exactly somewhere that you want to be actively in and then teach others not to. But like, I guess, for example, the book that I wrote, I didn't write that book from having been in a place and then I'm no longer ever there. I wrote it from a place to, this is something that, we all continue to go through, and here are things to get out of those spaces.
Were you transparent about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's the difference, right? Like if and again, like you said, who wants to have a counselor that is dealing with infidelity? Okay, but if you did lead that way with, but if he had coaching sessions after the first infidelity, clearly they know, and they're clearly going to him. Now, I'm not excusing that. I'm just speaking to the point of people knowing versus not knowing, or whatever. Or I don't know how he leads. I'm not in these sessions. I don't know what he says. That doesn't make the cheat. Now, but again, it's not for me to buy or sell, but I'm not buying this emotional cheating thing. Like, why go through all of this publicly? You smashed, bro. In my humble opinion, you smashed. And if you didn't, you should have. If you're going to go through all of this, you should have just did, like, go all the way. Because it would have been the same outcome. You know what I mean? Or what's the need to even share that, right? Like it's out there that you cheated. What is the point of you saying, well, it was only this and not that? And especially if we're going to go the spiritual route, like we already know that one.
You mean share the cheating at all, or just share the details of what kind of cheating it was?
Share the details of what type of cheating it was. Like it's
right, especially if cheating is teaching.
Right.
Especially if cheating is so it kind of seems like he's downplaying it. Oh, while it wasn't physical, because the world at large is going to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get it. And maybe he's sharing what she knows. You know what I mean? And so it's like, oh, she don't know about that part, so I'm gonna act like it's just, I don't know. I'm not here to yes, I am. I'm I'm here to talk about everything.
Well, I'm gonna ask, why do men cheat, Barzini? Why do men
for the same reasons women do?
Okay, well, and let's talk about you first. Let's talk about men.
Okay, I'm gonna answer. I'm not avoiding the question, but I'm going to preface this with, I hate that question.
Well,
because no,
that's what people want to know. That's why they're tuning in today.
Right, but so one,
why do people cheat? Does that make you feel better?
No. I'm gonna answer. You asked me why do men cheat. I'm gonna answer that, but I'm prefacing by saying we always approach this as if cheating is a male trait. And
no, I expected you to turn around and ask the same question.
Right? No, no, but it's like, for me, it's the same, because things are presented as, when men cheat, it's for selfish reasons, and he can't control his dick, and and all this other stuff. And then when women cheat, it's like, oh, well, he must have done something. And women only cheat when it's always like an excuse, or we start caping for women. But men, it's like, it's y'all need to be accountable, blah 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 blah. But then we always have to be accountable for her as well. Now, I'm
gonna pause before you go into your answer, right? Based on what you just said, and I believe, I don't know if we talked about this already, like on air, or if it was just a conversation, but in those times where men cheat, and there's it wasn't you. Oh, I think it was the episode we did with Tracy, right? Like, it was like, not anything that you did type situation, right? Like, doesn't that speak to why it's on him, and not necessarily something like you're saying it's not anything you did? I was selfish. I wasn't ready for a commitment. I didn't want you to be with anybody else, but I wanted to be free with some, like, these are the things that we hear as the explanations anyway, unless they're lies. So that
some of them
but that informs people's thought processes, right? Like, so men can't control themselves. Oh, they want their cake and eat it too. And then you have men who are saying, yeah, you're right.
Right. So here's the thing. We cheat for various reasons. Okay. It's not some male trait, like, oh, some do cheat for selfish reasons. It's like, damn, she fine, I want to smash that. I'm only thinking about me. I'm thinking with my dick. Yes, there are those situations. Is that all encompassing? No. There are men, and any kind of cheating is filling some sort of void, right? And that's for men and women both. Now, there are those who cheat because there's things that are missing in their relationship. There are men who are treated poorly in their relationship. There are men who are deprived of sex in their relationship. And I think it's asinine on both sides to deprive your partner of that which they're coming to you for, or should be able to come to you for. And the expectation is that if you're even if you're not getting it at home, you should go without, because you're going to hurt me. But it hurts not to get that thing, right? So even if we talk about emotional cheating, right? If you can't talk to your husband, right? He doesn't listen to you. He doesn't, you don't communicate, blah, 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 blah. Are you supposed to go, live your life without some sort of communication or validation or compliments or anything, And so you got that guy at work that's like, well, I mean, you don't exactly work for anybody. You don't go to work, you work. But y'all should see the cheese on her face right now. But if someone's like, what? Like, nah, you beautiful, you this, you that, and you're like, oh my God, are you gonna be like, well, no, you can't tell me that I'm married or I'm engaged? You know what I mean? Are you're not going to tell someone not to say these things. Now, some might feel, but I don't think we actively think about that. You know what I mean? Because it feels good to get compliments. It feels good to be validated. It feels good to be built up. And a lot of it, and when we think with cheating with men, we typically think about the physical side of it. But more often than not, I'm going to say it starts from an emotional level. She's telling him things. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you look good. Oh, you handsome. Oh, you great. And like I said before in other episodes, a woman's mouth is the equivalent to a man's hands or a man's fist, depending, both positive and negative. We respond to praise. It drives us. It turns us on. It motivates us. A woman's words, just like a woman's words negatively, can break us down, can destroy us. So you have to consider what's going on at home. And we have this notion that we do not contribute to infidelity. When it happens to us, we take the position of victim, and there is zero excuse. Like, no, they chose to do that. It's not you. It's not. No, that's not always true. Are there instances where it's true? Yes, but there are also a number of instances where it's not. And so it varies from person to person, situation to situation. And so we think that cheating is just this monolithic idea to where it only happens for one reason, and the person who did it is just the asshole. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we like to think that it's just men, but we're not cheating by ourselves. And then we like to think this narrative is when men are cheating, like the majority of the time, the woman doesn't know he's married or in a relationship. No, they know. Are there men that deceive, saying the side woman and lie? Sure. Absolutely. You know what I mean? But come on now. Women aren't, so we can't on one side talk about how intelligent and women's intuition and all this other stuff, and then think that they don't know that this man is married or in a relationship. The majority of them,
mm-hmm.
that doesn't add up. So it's like we got to take some responsibility on both sides. Yes, if he is wrong, if he cheats, regardless of the situation, yes, he's wrong. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that contribute to it from your partner on both sides. So the same way that we like to cape for women, when a woman cheats and say, oh, well, he must not be telling her this, or he must be, you know what I mean? It's like he has to contribute to it. And that's true. And that can be very well true. I won't deny that. But the same has to be true on both sides, because I've experienced it. You know what I mean? It's like you living with this person, you're trying to make it work, but you're not getting what you need. And most people want to say, well, why don't you just leave? It's not that easy. And anyone who's been in any type of relationship knows it's not just easy to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, especially if you marry. And so you go out and you seek those things that fulfill you, be it physical, be it emotional, be it spiritual, whatever it is. So I say that to say the same reasons why women might cheat are the same reasons men might cheat. And it's not just some lack of emotional fulfillment. There are women who just want to get it in. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even necessarily mean that something's wrong at home for her. She just wanted, I like you too. I want to get it in.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I try to kind of lend myself to the other side. But a couple of things. So one, yes, there are times that women know that men are involved or married, and they will still get involved. However, well, it is what it is. That woman's does not have a responsibility to another woman. Now, morally, if we're going to get into what's right and wrong, it's not right, but there is no connection to the other woman. There's no vow made to the other woman. So to say like shared responsibility and all of that, from the woman's standpoint, that's being cheated on, she really should not be looking for any type of loyalty from a stranger. No.
And I'm not necessarily trying to hold that woman responsible. What I'm saying is when people try to use that fact to make him look even more, you know what I mean? As if it's that caper for women thing again. It's like, oh, well, he must have done something to her when she's cheating. And then when he's cheating his side chick, she has to be more often than not completely oblivious to the fact that, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, well,
you know what you're doing.
I don't think that's the automatic assumption. Like, oh, she didn't know, because I mean, if you're a woman, and I'm sure there are a few that have not gone this road, but there are a lot of women who have been the other woman or have been the side chick or whatever. And if that has been your life, then you already know how the game goes, right? Like, but I will say that often there are men, again, who downplay their situation. They have a way of sharing their situation or introducing their situation to make it seem like it's not a big deal. Because I will say,
because we on a break.
Right. I will say, at least I would hope that women or men, because let's just say on either side, you find out that somebody, has a mate or whatever, and you're interested. I would assume that most people would at least pause, right? Like, oh, dang. See you next lifetime, like Erykah Badu, right? And then there could be, the place where that person that is involved then starts like, oh no, it's not a big deal, to make the other person feel more comfortable with engaging with them. So I think there are some times where people flat out lie, like, I'm single, I don't have anybody. And then there are some times when they downplay their situation. And look, again, I have done some things in my past, but I'm not going to care more about your situation than you care about your situation. That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying,
but you have some that do as well. It's like, oh, well, I'm like, don't try to manage my situation. Like, either you gonna be down or you not. But I don't know. There's a whole lot. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that, to say that there's the shared responsibility, or that people automatically assume that, the woman is without knowledge. I'm just saying, even in the times that she knows, I believe there's an initial kind of resistance, and we may talk ourselves into why it's okay. Right. Like, okay, well, because that's how you wind up with folks talking about they're dating a man that's separated. Sis, he's married. Right. Oh, but well, him and his wife, they're getting a divorce, and, they've been on the path for divorce for a decade. It's ridiculous, but we can allow ourselves to think it's okay, or be told it's okay, or what have you, and then just go with it. So I do agree that as an individual, we have our own responsibility. Are you going to get involved in something that can potentially hurt a family, a wife, some children or whatever? Or you're the type that just doesn't care, right? Like, I mean, we in this thing. Or there might be some folks that have, a tier system. Well, they're just dating, so it doesn't matter. Or I'm going to stop if they live together. Or, you know what, I'm going to stop if they're married. And then there's some folks that take it completely all the way. So I agree that it's not one-sided, but I also feel like, and since we are focusing on men right now, I wanted to know, why men cheat. And I know it's not one size fits all, but like, if there is something more times than not, this is the situation. And it sounds like what you said, that there are certain needs or wants that are not being met. And, should this person go through their life without it? And I would say, no, if that's not what you want to do, if you don't want to sacrifice the rest of your life trying to get somebody to do what you want them to do, I get it. But then I have to think about, like, were these needs being met before you got married? While you were dating? Like, did this just happen when you said I do? Why did you say I do? There's a lot that goes in there. So when people change, so it could have been, I would like to believe the needs were being met before they got married, but then you got some people, I know men are good for this. I won't speak for women, but you can be in a situation that's not good before I do. And here's something about men that we often don't articulate, right? Because it'll get pawned off as bullshit. We say to one another, we would rather be the villain or the bad guy and to get out of a situation, right? Rather than hurt her feelings or tell her the truth about herself, about how we feel. But aren't you the villain and the bad guy? And her feelings are hurt?
Well, I'm not even talking about like in regards to cheating right now specifically. I mean, it could be like the why we cheat on her and in a particular situation, or why we don't walk away, or you know what I mean. I've seen men that are completely unhappy before getting married and still get married.
And why?
I can't always just speak directly to every individual's why, but I just know, like, I've stayed in relationships years longer than I should have.
Okay.
Because it was hard to walk away, or you want to try to make it work, or you're hoping against hope that it'll change. And like, there's a lot of the stuff that women go through mentally, we do too. But the social stigma, we don't always share because of of looking weak. You know what I mean?
So
we feel like it's a responsibility. So because we often get hit with like, oh, well, don't waste her time, or you've been with her this long and then you just gonna walk away from, and all this other stuff. And that's dumb, because I'll tell a woman in a minute, your biological clock is not my responsibility. And if no matter how long we have been together, if we are not working, we are not working. I don't owe you anything.
Okay, but and again, these are individual situations, but I think of if a woman is otherwise happy, let's just say she's living the dream, and you're unhappy. I mean, what sense does it make to then take that situation into marriage and yes, waste her time, knowing that we have time, you guys have time on your side and we don't? Like, what is the point of that's when it starts feeling really cruel? Like, right, but say, oh, I'd rather be the bad guy. No, you don't, because being the bad guy is saying like, look, this isn't working. Even if you dropping her on her head, drop her on her head at 28. Don't drop her on her head at 48.
Right, but you see how like the sentiment is like, I owe her something, where she's otherwise happy.
You are in a relationship with her, so you with somebody and don't owe them anything?
Hold on, no. What I'm saying is, feel me this. If I'm saying that I'm miserable and we together all the time, you so in your bliss that you can't tell that I'm miserable, and I'm wasting your time.
I just assume that she doesn't know. I don't know. Right. But again, maybe she does know, and she's trying to figure out how to get you back to bliss. Maybe, but no, I'm going by the example you gave. She's otherwise happy, so it's almost like her happiness is predicated on his misery. No, like that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know that there are people that have two different experiences in a relationship.
Right. I'm not saying that's what you're. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm saying that you are so into your bliss that you are not noticing that your partner is miserable.
But it doesn't. They're not always forthcoming with their misery. And maybe that was just because Lord knows literal, okay, with you and semantics. But I'm just saying she's not thinking, like, they're not arguing, right? They're not fighting. There's nothing really to indicate that we should break up. So maybe she's saying that she's blissfully happy. Maybe that I shouldn't go that far. But she's thinking you're on the path and you're rolling. And for whatever reason, you are not rolling, or you're rolling, but your mind is somewhere else. Your body's probably somewhere else, or you on the verge of being somewhere else. Why can't you not have the conversation? If we're looking at it as I don't owe you anything, then you don't need to be with that person anyway. Anybody that is in a committed relationship, you owe them the truth. Period. If things change at a certain point in time, I do owe you, especially at the point that I decide to step out. Now, maybe if I'm feeling away, but I'm going to do some sort of work, I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to talk to the pastor about it. I'm going to pray about it.
Okay. So let me ask you this, whether you've said it or not, if you have been completely miserable for quite a long time, are you going to be in the headspace to feel like you truly owe him something? Especially when your misery is coming from him. I'm not talking about right or wrong. I'm saying, are you really going to be thinking that?
Am I gonna? I feel like I'm getting like the Jedi mind tricks. I said what I said. If I am unhappy and I'm at the place where I want to be with somebody else, I don't understand the point of I'm going to hold on to something that I am miserable in, but go get my needs met somewhere else. Right, why am I not terminating this situation? Or at least say, because I understand you're saying like, all situations, you can't necessarily leave or dissolve all situations.
You're not terminated for the same reasons that you have stayed talking to somebody, dealing with somebody, in a relationship with somebody that you knew it's been over for whatever. We have both done that. We have both stayed in situations that so the why isn't always something that you can even pinpoint sometimes. Sometimes, like we said
it's
before,
not necessarily a why, it's the what.
Right. But
and I don't think I've ever been quiet about the fact that I've been unhappy about something.
But the question is, why do we stay? It's like for the same reason.
Question is, why are you cheating? Why are you using that as your hall pass to cheat? I'm not saying, yes, people are unhappy. I think we were talking about why don't you let the person know? But ultimately, since we're talking about cheating, my thing is, if you are going to go and start something with somebody else, why not shut it down? Like, clearly you do not care about it.
Then we wouldn't even have conversations about cheating. Like,
well,
that doesn't So my thing is,
so we do all this so we can have conversations about cheating.
Why we gonna have rules on how to properly do something wrong? Like, if you're gonna cheat, you should do this. No, that's why it's cheating. That's why we're having a conversation because we're not like people cheat because they have needs that aren't being met. And I'm not saying that as a justification. I'm just saying that as a reason. You need something, or you feel you need something that you are not getting or getting enough of, and so then you go get your needs met somewhere else.
So why are you still holding on to the situation where your needs are not met? I'm trying to get you. There's something else.
Because people still want that.
There's something else. It's not as cut and dried as my needs are not being. Or it's that one need that's not being met that I can't live without. Like, you clearly still find value in this situation,
or not necessarily.
So then let it go.
And see, but you making it so black and white. You sounded like I normally do, and it's not that black and white.
Oh, well, welcome to my life.
Because here's the thing: if people were able to just do that, again, we wouldn't be having conversations about cheating. Hey, you know what? I care about you, so I'm going to leave you so I can go sleep with this person. Or,
you said the men want to be the bad guy. I'm trying to figure out, when are you the bad guy when you're not delivering no bad news? What
a whole lot.
Okay, give us some.
Hell, shit, I was cheating long before I was ever cheating. Exactly. Meaning I was being treated like I was cheating, and who's this? Blah, 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 right?
Okay.
So you know what I mean? And a lot of that, listen, there's just so much more. And what I'm saying is this: the same way that it's always more complicated when women do it. It's like, the common sentiment, at least when we hear it, is it's not selfishness, it's filling a void or something was lacking or whatever. Okay, bet. I can roll with that. But how come it's never the same scenario when men do it? And we don't go on social media and see people posting, oh, how come women cheat? And when I brought up the other women, the side women, we're not cheating by ourselves. And when I'm talking about the women that know, it's like, because these will be the same women talking about, you'll be laying next to a dude that you cheating with, posting, talking about why do men cheat? You know what I mean? Come on, we can say because it's available, but no, everybody makes their own decisions. But what I'm saying is, just walking away, even if you're miserable in a relationship, doesn't mean that you don't love the person. And it doesn't mean that just severing that connection is just that easy. Like, logistically, sure. Yeah, you can just walk away and leave. Emotionally, it is not. Okay. You know what I mean?
I just don't get it. I don't get it in terms of us having this discussion. I don't think it's been articulated. It definitely sounds selfish, which is the point you're trying to get away from. Like, don't think of men as selfish, but that's the argument that's being presented.
I'm not saying that at all, because I
love this person. It's not easy for me to let go of the situation. I'm not getting this particular need met, so I am going somewhere else. There's not a discussion about.
I led with that.
Let's go to counseling. Let me be clear and forthcoming about what I'm missing. Let me tell you, you know what? You're actually in danger of me cheating. Like, some people just need to know out there. Like,
right. But what you're oversimplifying, because no one's saying that none of that is occurring. And I also led with, yes, there's men that are just selfish and just do it. Right. That was the first thing I said.
But everything else is in the same.
No, it's
in the
not.
Same group.
No,
yes, it is.
No, it is not. I'm the one saying it, and I'm putting it in the groups. It's not.
I'm telling you, and this is whether you put it in the group or screaming from the mountaintop. If people are receiving it the same way, I'm telling you, even if your intention or what you think you're saying, this is how people are receiving it. Like,
okay, just because you're receiving it that way does not mean that that's what I'm actually saying. Now,
okay.
No, because you just said this is what you're saying. Or no,
I said, this is how it's being received. I just said that.
No, you said that after I called you on saying what I'm saying. So listen, bottom line is this. That's not what
y'all
I'm
drop
saying.
in the comments and tell me who said what about who when.
You ain't got to do that. You can rewind it after it's recorded. I know what I said because I was there when I said it.
know what you said. I was listening. I'm telling you, it's all selfishness. It's all selfishness.
That's because if that's what you interpret, if you want it to be selfish, cool. Well, I'm saying that it's not. But just because that's how you right, but just because that's what you want it to be doesn't mean that's what it is. And what I'm saying is this: it's typically that when we're talking about men. And I'm not saying that you're saying that in particular, but I'm saying that is the sentiment. It's why do men this? Why do men that? Why? As if women don't do it.
I'm asking because I would be dating a man. I'd be cheated on by a man. Why would I ask somebody why women cheat?
Right. So why do women cheat?
It's the same thing.
Nah. You got lay it out. I had to lay it out because when I said same reason that women do, you were like, nah, like no. So for the people.
Well, you're saying that it's one-sided, and I disagree. I feel like women have the same voids or feeling of. I would actually venture to say women often cheat because they don't see that this is going to be resolved. I feel like, and that's why I asked you first, I feel like men cheat because they assume that they can't get the need met or things will not get better. They do not verbalize often. I'm not going to say that they don't, period. They don't verbalize, oh, you're not reading my mind. You're not meeting my need. I'm going to go out and get it handled somewhere else. Whereas I feel like the experience for women is, I've tried. I've talked about it. I've suggested different things. I've made certain changes, and it's just not going to ever change. And now we do have to leave room, just like you left room. We got to leave room for women who just do what they want to do and are selfish as well. But I think.
So let me ask you this question, because one, you literally just did what I say women do, right? Like, men, you was like, oh, well, men don't say it and men don't articulate, but women, they've said it, and it's like men haven't paved the way for it to happen for them, but women are sick and tired. And then if after everything I said, you were like, it just all sounds like selfishness, then why, when I ask, why do women cheat, did you not just lead with because they're selfish?
You asked me to break it down like you broke it down. But that's what you just asked me to do.
No, but you said, even when I asked directly, you were like, oh, well, for the same reason that men cheat and stuff like that. And then because when I got
was my succinct answer.
Right, no. But when you made my answer succinct, you said because it was selfishness. But when I asked for women, you never said selfishness.
I said the same thing.
You said the same things that I said. Oh, that's why they cheat too. But you broke it down. Oh, it all sounds like selfishness. But you did not say it, and you weren't that definitive when we were talking about, like, you literally just did that.
Okay.
All right, wait,
I'm like, just like you told me, you can't tell me what I said and what I meant. I told you the exact same way for women as what you said for men. You wanted me to give you a laundry list. I gave you a laundry list. Now you're telling me that's not what I said. So
I was telling you, you didn't get straight to the point.
Neither did you.
I wasn't.
And then
no. That's not what I'm saying.
Not only get straight to the point.
That's not what I'm saying.
You refuted that was the point. You're like, no, that's not what it is.
No. I'm saying this. After I gave all these.
So do men cheat because they're selfish? No, they don't.
Hold up. But I did want to swing it back around to old boy or whatever. Because we went down this path defining cheating and thus and so, and what's cheating and what's allowed and what's not allowed and why we do this and this. Now, my biggest problem with John Gray is the way that he positions himself when it comes to marriage and relationships and everything else, especially when it comes to men. And so this video, what show was that? Was that the talk, Sister Circle? So he's on here, and then he was talking about favor factor. Oh, women are the favor factor, and blah blah blah. Complete bullshit to me, the way that he spun the scripture, right? Basically, he went to Proverbs 18:22, which says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and finds favor with the Lord, right? and basically spun it to say that part and finds favor with the Lord, that women are the favor factor and thus men should be seeking them out. It's not biblical. It's not contextually correct. And I am not saying that women are not important and great and awesome. I just don't think they are the favor factor. I think you are a favor factor. That God does bless marriage. He does want us to be married. He does want us to have our help meet. And I think it is very important to have that. I just think when we spin scripture in that fashion and the way that we present relationships, we devalue the importance that men have also in women's lives. You know, we build relationships and marriages up to think like, hey, men, you the one that need women. They don't need you. So you need to be going out there to get them and do this, and this, and provide and protect them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. And I have zero problem with our responsibility and our position, but I think we do this and we create this ambiguity of what is needed from women a lot of times. And I know that on the other side, there's another, the opposite viewpoint, that women are often raised or cultured to be defined by having a husband. And if you don't have a husband or girl, you need to have a husband, and when are you having kids and stuff like that. So I do acknowledge that. But in the sense of John Gray, it's, he was going hard. Like, oh, this, and this. And I mean, and in this interview, he was just big up in his wife, and she's this and she's that. And she put her life on hold to do this. And women are the favor factor. And if you really truly believe that, brother, then why is it so difficult? Like, if you can recognize that and you want to articulate this, and for me, it's a hustle a lot of times. Like, he's a Derek Jackson with a Bible in his hand. You know what I mean? Women are his base. Oh, you know what I mean?
Jackson, you didn't deserve that. That was kind of.
I'm on record not liking that dude. I don't know. I'll say this: I don't like his product. I don't know him. I don't know him as a person. I don't like his product, because I think he's an emotional predator. But that's his hustle. He's making money. Yeah, like, and we that's a whole nother episode. But what I mean is, women are the prominent demographic in the church. There's more women than men in the church. So who is your base? Who's paying your bills? You know what I'm saying? So
and then who are you gallivanting with in the congregation? Clearly. Well, I don't know.
I mean, could it be from the congregation? Same difference, but that's his base. So from a business perspective, I get it. You cater to your base. But now, and when women saw that, it was like, oh yeah, we the favor factor, we this is, but what, and he was the greatest thing since sliced bread when he said that. But now, considering, I think my question is that still true? Considering that what he's done with his quote unquote favor factor, this woman that he was on national, when his message about women being the favor factor.
Well, you know what I mean? Which woman?
You know what? I cannot argue that point. When I've been got, I will concede. That was actually an excellent point. So. I find that problematic, and just speaking from my lens, my purview, and, as far as my background, I think we find so many ways to devalue men for our own. And I'm not saying that men don't do that in other areas, especially biblically when we talk about submission. Men are always talking about, oh, well, the Bible says you're supposed to submit. Well, the Bible says we're supposed to submit one to the other, and so I think we use scripture conveniently to fit our narrative, and it's not biblical, because if we want to go super biblical, and how often do you hear, oh, I'm waiting for my Boaz, right? And when I hear that, I'm like, you've clearly not read the book of Ruth.
Yeah
And so we talk about women, like men are supposed to pursue. That is not biblical. The Bible does not say that. The Bible does not say, women, you're supposed to sit back and wait. It does not say that. Proverbs 18 is not God speaking, but Solomon speaking to young men. In context, it is not talking about chasing a woman. It says that because it's talking to men in that particular verse. Mm-hmm. That is it. That is all. And we have to stop making something inclusive, or we take something that's explicitly said and then want to create what's implicitly not there. right? And so when it says, because if we want to look at that scripture, there's two words that have dual context, right? Finds and wife, right? So he that finds has two different meanings. It can be to seek, or it can mean to discover, right? If I found $20, was I looking for it? No, I happened upon it, but I still find it. He that finds $20 has also found a good thing. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that I'm supposed to be pursuing or seeking. Now let's talk about wife. If we are talking about find in the court in the context of seeking, if I just found you, or even or the discovery context, if I've either found, sought you, or discovered you, how are you a wife or my wife? Right? But wife has two connotations too. It can be a title. Like if I marry you, yes, by title, you are my wife. But it's talking about having been sought or discovered, right? Which means it's a mindset. You are a wife long before you are married. Wife and husband is who you are before you ever get married. Are you like, why would you marry someone who's not a wife or a husband?
Oh, this gonna be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we can do that a whole nother episode. Like,
gotta be, because
so
and you have folks who say, don't give him wife benefits with a girlfriend title,
which is stupid to me too, but that's dumb to me too. Like, how I'm supposed to make you my wife and I don't know how you operate as a wife, and vice versa.
Have that faith.
Damn that. All them ifs. Because look, they be expecting him. Can you pay my bills? They want him to be a husband long before you accept a proposal from him. But yet, if you make me your wife, I'll do that. Nah, sister. Let me see what you can do. You know what I'm saying? I know what I bring to the table. Did you bring it? Because it does me no good if you ain't actually brought it. So I just think we conveniently use scripture, and we hear people with these narratives, and we rah when it caters to our narrative. You know what I mean? Right. I absolutely believe women are a favor factor. I absolutely believe in the power of having a good woman, and a wife, and a helpmeet, and a support system, and a backbone. I absolutely believe Black women are the greatest women on this earth, and I absolutely adore you. However, you're not perfect. You know what I mean? And I don't want nothing else, but we have to be in this place where we can hold each other accountable. And I don't think there's just so many spaces in life where either on one side or the other, we're not able to do that.
Good points, all, especially, biblically. I always encourage people, if you find these kind of buzz scriptures, you got to read before and you got to read after. You can't just kind of hone in on that one. And you also, can't rely on the interpretation of that, and this is another subject too, but people that only know the word because of what the pastor said, instead of doing their due diligence and studying on their own. So there are people that might say, okay, based on the description that you gave, men may not be seeking. However, is it written anywhere that women should be seeking, right? Because that gets into another kind of conversation that women have among women. Like, you shouldn't be out there trying to find a man. The Bible says, yada, 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 yada. So that's a question that might be asked. What would you say to that?
It doesn't say either should be seeking. It doesn't say men you're supposed to be seeking. It doesn't say women you should be seeking. But
go out there and just.
But there are examples. But there are examples of both men and women seeking. Like if we go back to Ruth, number one, and it's a short book. Read the book, or you can read that in a few minutes. Naomi took Ruth back to her homeland specifically to find a husband. That's why they went back, because their husbands died. Right? Ruth was Naomi's daughter-in-law. And so when Naomi's son died, Ruth's husband, she took her back to her homeland specifically for the reason of finding a husband. Boaz did not find her. Ruth was out there working to support her and Naomi. She was working on Boaz's land, and she was unfamiliar to him. And people want to talk about, when he saw she was beautiful. It never references how Ruth looked. It never references talking about Boaz thought she was beautiful. It never says that. You know what I'm saying? So we start making up shit. Boaz asked, say, who is that? Like, if you have a business and someone you did not hire is working on you, you're probably going to ask who that is, right? So, you know what I mean? But he also found out that she was family. Mm-hmm. And based contextually, yeah, Boaz was a good man. He's clearly a businessman. And when he found out that she was kin, he put her under his protection and was like, hey, she belongs to me, and told all the men that were there, leave her alone. You know what I'm saying? So she wasn't getting harassed and everything else. And then she allowed him to eat from his table. He took care of her. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things, like, if you're waiting for your Boaz, somebody like, hey, a businessman, somebody's going to put you under his protection, bet I got all of that. But when we're talking about seeking, what happened? What did Naomi say? Oh, he did all that. Okay, girl, that's you need to keep going back there. Then what she tell her to do? I need you to put on that your best dress. I need you to put on that perfume and go lay at the foot of his bed. Go get him. And that's what she did. You see what I'm saying? So all this, he's supposed to be seeking. The book of Ruth is in the Bible for a very specific. There's a whole lot that happened in that time, but what's in the Bible were things worth noting. So why would that story be worth noting if men were supposed to exclusively pursue women?
Pastor Barzini.
I'm a third generation PK, so but like, I love Jesus. I just cuss a little bit, but I just think that we need to stop using the Bible to fit our specific convenient narratives on both men and women, both. Like, men, you can't use the word to control women. You know what I mean? And women, you can't use the word to try to get men to do what you don't otherwise want to do.
I get it. So that was one question that came up. I don't know if this next thing is a question or more of a statement, something that bothered me alongside of what you were talking about with John Gray. I don't remember what you called him, but I just think in terms of being this representation of marriage, like, I feel like even in that statement, right, like, he was building himself up to like, this is what I believe about my wife and my children. And he's, running down this hierarchy, like, it's God first, it's Aventure and my kids, and then it's the church. And as long as the church stays number 3, then I'm good. And I'm like, well, where did the other women come in? Were they like 1.5? Did they, because they slid in there somewhere. And not that I feel like he doesn't believe it. But clearly he's in a consistent struggle. And then what bothers me the most is not that I expect pastors to be perfect, or anybody that has studied, believers. I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but I do feel like we have to be so careful, because the first thing people want to do when you do stumble and fall is point to the fact that you're a pastor or that you're a whatever, right? Like, well, if you and God was that close, you wouldn't be doing X, Y, which we know is not true, but it's all the more reason, why we can't misrepresent. Just like with the election that just passed, and, Paula White beating on stuff and talking about God told her that Trump was going to win and all this.
And calling the African ancestors and angels from Africa.
I'm like, sis, really?
And Kenneth Copeland too.
Yeah, it's just like, come on. We have a huge responsibility, the lives that we live and the things that we say, because that's what unbelievers, they will hold on to that. That's the reason why I don't go to church. That's the reason why I left church 25 years ago. Yeah, that's exactly a point I was going to make earlier, but you beat me to it. I agree 100% with that, what you were saying. Go ahead. No, that's it.
Yeah. And here's the conundrum. When I said that, I kind of like, there's a duality to it, is he is still a human being. He is still a man, and not perfect. And I don't know, while I agree with 100% what you just said, there's also that part to where, because we are human, God still forgives, God still redeems, but people won't. You know what I mean? And so while we are human, there are still just certain positions that do not give room for error. Like, you wouldn't go take financial advice from someone who's broke. Right. Like, like, hey, I'm a financial advisor, but I'm bankrupt. It's like, you probably need to do better before you can counsel people in that. You know what I mean? And so it's such a tough place because not being him, and I was, in fairness, because we can come down on him a whole lot, but I have to acknowledge something he said in that interview, to where they go to counseling, and that when he's in counseling, he is not in counseling as the pastor or in ministry. He was like, there's still a part of me. Like I'm great.
He couldn't.
Right. He's like, I'm great. He mentioned he's great with ministering to other people and counseling other people. But when it comes to his marriage, he needs to hear about him. Yeah. That's completely fair. And I actually 100% respect that.
Yeah.
However, you have still positioned yourself when you say things like, oh, this, and this, and this is how it's supposed to be. And women, you're this. And it's like, I don't even think for me, it's mostly this messaging that you're giving to women, because that's such a big message when women are listening, because they go into their relationships believing this and navigating according to what this man of God, what Coatfinger said. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna take I'm not gonna say he's not a man of God. He's still a human man. Emphasis on the man.
Right.
But we're believing this stuff, and there's men that are believing this stuff. And operating accordingly, and then it comes out like, nah, you know what I mean? It's like,
and it's disappointing.
It is,
and
because
not that you should, and we know better, right? I'm sure people are watching. No, you know not to hang your hopes on man, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't feel like something. Like, I'll tell you, you know Jamal Bryant is, right? So when I broke up with a long time ago, right? Like my first the big breakup. I was so, sad, depressed. I went back home to my parents' house. I was just laying in the bed, just sad. And I remember turning on TBN, Channel 40. And I had never even seen him before, and so he was, preaching and praying. And I remember, like, for the first time, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I felt better, right? Like, I can't even remember what he was talking about. And so from that point on, I started following him, and I signed up for his little prayer text in the morning, and literally, kind of helped me get myself back together as far as I was concerned. Sowing seed, really following the ministry, they way over in Baltimore, but still, rolling with it. And then I heard that he had pretty much done the same thing that had happened to me. And it took me a long time, not that I ever fell away from Jesus, but I remember feeling like deep hurt, like I knew him. Like, I was just like, I can't believe you did that. And I thought about how many people that don't have a personal relationship with God, or even if we take spirituality out of it and you just kind of went through that whole inspirational thing, right? Like, if you just use it as inspiration to get better, like, how many people were disappointed and it went further than that. Like, disappointment for me, and I moved on, right? But for somebody else, could be completely devastating. And I remember just like, I can't believe that. Like, especially for it to be, on the same lines. Like, of course, he doesn't know me and he doesn't owe me anything, but I just thought about, like, your reach, your impact. I'm thousands of miles away. And I've connected to your ministry because of the message that you have. And so it made me think, two ways. Of course, the message is the message, right? And it's going to penetrate and do what it needs to do, to the individual. And if you are mature enough to focus on that thing, right? And not to say that John Gray's message was the message truthfully or in totality, but sometimes people just do. They need that rah-rah, pick me up, to kind of get up from where they are. And if you can divorce the man from the message so that you can, go on, that's the place. But everybody can't do that. And I think that's the heaviness of the messenger, like knowing that,
And I think that gets hard because when someone says something that we connect to so deeply and does it consistently, I don't think that we look at that person as God so much as we respect someone that's seemingly living this life or on this path that we're trying to get on.
Right.
Or trying to get like, if you're a woman, here's this man speaking to men, trying to get them on the path that he's on, and he's got this wife, and look how he publicly praises her and puts her on this pedestal. and he represents what you want in a man, and you want a man to do for you. And so that's like when the fellas, we see a woman that does that like for a long time. I haven't heard from her in a while, but Chanel Cooper Sykes, I believe it is. You know, she had the stilettos in the kitchen when she had that book, and she was out speaking to the women, and the fellas was like, ladies, you need to listen to her. Yeah, and I was one of them too. I'm like, yeah, get on the ladies. It's what, you know what I mean? And she was representing this one once. You know, she was beautiful and articulate and successful and had this business, and then she's speaking to, you know, we don't know what she's like at home. I don't know if her husband is happy. You know, what I do know is she has a product, you know. And so, but because she represents what men want in her advertising and in her message, we connect to that. But the minute we find out, oh, what, she cheated? Oh, and then women is gonna be like, see, y'all was all
on her team, but you didn't even know.
So it's real difficult, because just because somebody does this for a living, because let's face it, it's being a pastor is a job. It's a career, and we often don't look at it like that. And in the Christian church, because one, we don't do that to any other faith, right? It's when someone errs, oh, but he's supposed to be a pastor. We never, and shout out to, you know what I'm saying, to the Muslim family, but we never say that when someone, we don't say that about them. You know what I mean? We always, and the Christian church doesn't do themselves any favors, because Christians are very judgmental, but it's, you know, we're not allowed to be devoted. When we're too devoted, it's like, y'all are just so, but you know, when you have someone who's Muslim and they follow in the Quran, like boom, 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 by the book, they're praised and respected for following their faith to the T. Whereas Christians are criticized for doing it, you know. And there's some things with the church that I agree with, that I stick to. And then there's some that's like, you know, like as you grow, you mature, and then just your view of God changes. But I just know that the Christian church is the highest scrutinized, but we're also the most judgmental. So it kind of balances out. I got to be fair in that regard. But it's just really hard when you think about somebody like a John Gray, and it's like, how do you digest that? Do you look at him and say, well, he's a human being, he's a man, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we pedestaling? Why is it a big deal that he cheated on his wife? It's a big deal that any man cheats on his wife. Why are we saying it? Because it's him. Well, because of who he is, his platform, and his message. You know, I think the question is, can he come back from it? Like the first time, okay, you know, oh, I did this, and even Jimmy Swagger back in the day, I have sinned against you. But, you know, like all these guys, we don't, you know, even I respect TD Jakes and his, you know, I like his ministry. We don't know what he's like at home. Right. You know, he can be a son of a bitch, as men with power typically are. Yeah. You know. We don't know, but I think we ascribe personalities to people that we respect. Like, oh, he must be at home, and his wife just loves him, and he just like, nah, he probably at home. You know, she like, what? Look here, you know, you ain't UTD at that church. You get here, I need you to be, you know, but yeah, I don't even know the resolution.
So. Once a cheater, always a cheater?
No, I don't agree with that.
So then he can potentially redeem himself
with his wife if she chooses to, you know.
Well, and we didn't really talk about that, but clearly for him to, you know, do it again and again, they're still together. And so, you know, I mean, for their situation, I feel like I'm not going to care more about your situation than you do, sis. So I don't really have anything to say about that. But like, as an example overall, you know, people will say, well, you know, fight for your marriage type situation. And I guess, for women to kind of suck it up, if you will, and stick in there and fight, sis. And I don't know. I feel some way about that. Like looking ahead, I do believe in, and I pray that my experience is get married one time and stay together forever. But at what expense, like, is it just no matter what happens in that relationship, you just stick it out and fight for your marriage? You fighting forever?
Well, that we don't know how she's taking it. We don't know how she looks at it. She might be like, oh,
right. Especially since it's just emotional.
Right. We don't know her outlook on it. We don't know when this occurred. We know it's just coming out. She could all have already dealt with it, and then they're just getting it
like Will and Jay.
PR, like, all of that. Okay. Yeah, and the August thing.
We did that 4 years ago.
Right, but and that's another example though. Will and Jada, we don't look at them like, oh, they stayed together and they, it's like, oh, they always do this. This is Will and Jada. But because they in entertainment, it's almost like expected and it's salacious.
And people thought they were swingers, or that's been the story anyway. So it's like,
right. And then they came and said on Red Table that they weren't, and then everyone's like, they just say, like, nobody knows what to believe. Nobody knows what goes on. You see what I'm saying? And they say what to say to protect their brand. And some take it as truth. Some are like, whatever. But who cares? That's their marriage. And so for, how do you pronounce her name? Aventer? Aventer and John Gray, at the end of the day, that is their marriage, right? He lives a public life. I don't know and haven't seen much of her. But because their marriage is very public and what's going on, the way that they handle it is, they could be separated for all we know. But for the brand, she could be down for the brand. You know what I mean? They could still be married for a business arrangement, which she can benefit from greatly. There could be some stipulations that she has in place because for her to leave him is going to cost him greatly. You see what I'm saying? Or if you think about, okay, so but from a business standpoint, if they don't fix this, if she doesn't stand behind him, even leaving him will cost her as well, because he loses the church. He loses his level of income. What's he going to have to give her?
Right.
You taking half of a lot less if that brand crumbles.
Right.
And so from a business standpoint, I would probably, if I were her, I'd be the most pissed. Like, you messing up the church's money. Literally. So I don't know them. I can't speak for her mindset. I can't speak for their marriage. I just know, like, if you decide to, again, it's easy to say, why stay? Why do this? Like when we were talking about, if you got to cheat, why stay? People have various reasons for why they do a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
But I don't know her reason for staying. I don't know his reason for cheating. We don't know that she's not cheating. Oh, you doing this? Oh, okay. Because I know a woman who has a husband who is a public figure. And yeah, I'm gonna leave that at that, just so I'm gonna, because it could, I'm thinking about that because I don't want to inadvertently say something to implicate either.
Okay. So
I just know,
is he dabbling and she's doing her own thing on the low because
yeah.
Okay. Well, then
let's just say she's better at it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, right. Why he think he's
she's better at it. She's a lot better at it.
Well, all right. With that being said, I think we, can slide on into final thoughts, but I'm pretty sure this is an episode that we would want to follow up with a live. So whenever this is airing, I think that night is a great night for us to go live and talk to those of you who have seen it, because I'm sure there's I hate to use everybody, it gets on my nerves, but a great many, if you haven't been cheated on yet, I hate to say, it's coming, or like,
damn.
Well, I'm saying that like if you're young, right? Like maybe you just haven't gotten there yet. But okay, I won't say that. It's something that many of us have in common, unfortunately. And so I know there are a lot of you, if you haven't already left it in the comments of the YouTube video, that you would want to talk to us about it live. But as we wrap up, Barzini, what are your final thoughts on the thin gray line.
The thin gray line. First of all, I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
Y'all, we listen. We do this a lot, so.
Oh yeah,
we
that
have
doesn't change.
We have some. I just need that. I was saying I love you for them. They need to know that I love you.
Oh,
they don't
okay.
know.
Yeah, well, you
right.
know.
But you too. I love you.
You too.
But yeah, you too. No, but y'all, it's. I would say, be careful who you pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful what you take as gospel, because they are still human beings. They are still prone to error, and your life cannot crumble because he whom you pedestaled has fallen. Especially when we're talking biblically, the word also says, study to show thyself approved. So it's take information from a lot of different sources, but study for yourself and have revelation and rhema for yourself. And there's no one way to do something. If you decide that you want to walk away from a relationship, walk away. If you decide you want to stay and work, stay and work. Don't let people get in your ear telling you what you should do. Follow your heart. Is your heart always going to be right? No. But you got to do what's best for you. Because experience is going to be your best teacher. If you want to seek wise counsel, sure. But even with that wise counsel, decipher for yourself and make the decision that's going to be best for you. Because regardless of what you choose, somebody is going to have something to say anyway. So you might as well just make your own decisions.
Absolutely. And I think I would echo that. My final thought, my mom always says, do what you can live with, so whether that is, if you are cheating, make sure that the decision that you make, you can live with that. You can deal with the consequences that come behind that. And then on the other side, if you are the person being cheated on and you make the decision to stay or you make the decision to leave, do that thing that you can live with. And there is no right or wrong. There are people who have stayed together for businesses or for the family, for the kids, all of that. And what I would say about that is just to make sure that you don't dishonor yourself. Like, even for business, even for money, all of those things, like, it makes sense to people who chase that. But at the end of the day, like, your peace and are you able to sleep at night and all of those things, like, it's super important to make sure that you're making the decision or set of decisions that allow you to rest. And if not, seeking wise counsel is always a suggestion for those that are connected, to a spiritual figure. You have a pastor, you have marriage mentors. By the time you hear this, you will have heard an episode where we talk to a couple, who have marriage coaches or mentors, counseling, like doing the things that will help your relationship, even if you're not in a place of breakdown. Like, sometimes I think we wait until there's an issue, but a lot can be said of laying a good foundation and attending to that, so that there is something that's preventative. So
that's dope. That is that on that. So y'all, this has been another episode of The Crossroads. Two things worth noting before we close out. Number one, happy Founders Day again to the ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And Trump lost.
Although he doesn't know it yet.
He doesn't know it yet. But yeah, Trump lost, and it's Founders Day tomorrow. So with that, y'all, we will see y'all next time on another episode.
YG, huh? We can't play that YG.
Oh man, I wish we could. If we could get the rights. Listen, if I could. But y'all, in closing, always remember, be free to be you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Holla, y'all.
We want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for our email list for more episodes and projects from your hosts, Barzini and Dre Renee. Until next time, this has been the Crossroads Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.